So I wanted to give my 2 cents on the Tyla situation, the situation of the Black community supposedly boycotting Tyla in the US, and then also her EP not doing well, and just some of the controversy that she's had over the last couple of years that has put a bad taste in the Black community's mouth. So that's what we're going to talk about in this video. Ciao tutti, my name is Sam. I am a Black woman that lives between Florence, Italy and New York City, and I'm a foundational Black American. So I am giving this point of view from the foundational Black American point of view, and I would like to start out by saying I do not think that the Black community boycotted Tyla. I think that the Black American community just weren't thinking about her. And that's completely different, because if you think of boycotts that we do, we literally will go out of our way not to support someone. So if Tyla was on the radio, do I think a Black American would change the radio station? No. But is a Black American going to the other side of town to not shop at Target? Yes. Will there be is there a Black American that will hear R. Kelly or P. Diddy on the radio, or it'll come up in their playlist and they'll skip it? Yes, for me, that is an actual boycott. That is a conscious decision to not support those people. I think that Black Americans saw the pandering or the wanting to take advantage of Black Americans, and they stopped it. I think they just said, like, you know what? No, I'm good. Like, this person is disingenuous. This person has ulterior motives, and this person thinks they're better than us. And I'm going to go into the thinking they're better than us perspective, because I think it's actually pretty deep. And I think it's something that's unique with the Tyla situation that no one is really thinking about. But I think that is why the Black American community basically didn't put Tyla back on their radar. Now, when I talk about Tyla considering herself better than Black Americans, Tyla is from South Africa. Apartheid stopped way before Tyla was born, but if you've been to South Africa, you know the remnants is still there. There is still tons of disenfranchised Black people, the Africans, the natives, and there is a caste system, a class system that is very much alive and well inside South Africa. So here we have a chart that I found on the internet. You're more than welcome to Google South African caste system or class system, and you will find this same chart. And it's from the 1949 to the 1970, basically classing of people who lived in South Africa. So you have the white upper class, the white middle class, the colored upper class, the white lower class, followed by colored middle class, colored lower class, and African people. So it didn't matter where you were on the totem pole financially. If you were African, you were at the bottom. Tyla going on to the Breakfast Club and not openly speaking about, or speaking at all, actually, I can't even say openly, not speaking about the reality of the class system in South Africa is a slap in the face. Her not actually explaining the reasoning for the color labeling of the South African people and compare, how they color categorize each other is a slap in the face. In the US, the term colored when referring to a Black person is derogatory. So I know a lot of people are like, well, you don't have to support Tyla. She's going to be amazing and such and such. That's the thing. People are not supporting. And it's kind of funny because when you look at how important the Black American stamp of approval is, it's really, really, really important. It just is. If you look at when Whitney Houston, when they were not looking at her as being Black enough, and when they booed her at whatever award, it definitely did a number on her. If you look at just the white artists that have dabbled into the Black community to get the stamp of approval of cool or whatever it might be. And once again, this is pandering, and this is something that the Black community has caught on to, and they're attempting to put a stop to it. Pink did it. Justin Timberlake did it. Christina Aguilera kind of did it with the dirty. Miley Cyrus did it, where they kind of like become kind of grungy and I'm down with the people to kind of push themselves above. And we're not even going to get into the many inventions that Black Americans have created that they don't get credit for. I mean, just look at Beyonce with country music. Now, Beyonce with country music as a talented artist was not accepted into the country community with open arms, and thankfully she had a big enough fan base that she didn't need it. But there was still this kind of like a we aren't interested in you from their part. Now that was an active boycott, in my opinion. But I will still say, like, when you think of boycotting, or not a boycott, I think the boycotting came with the music awards that they did not give her any awards for. But if they didn't want to listen to her music, Beyonce wasn't an artist that was into the country realm either way. That's a whole nother round. That's a whole nother thing. Whole nother thing. Won't get into that. But I will say that if you think of like the Essence Fest that just passed this year, 2025, I don't think that black people boycotted it. I think that black people just had too much stuff going on. And if you listen, it wasn't advertised properly. There was a problem with vendors. There was, oh my gosh, there's a lot of people who said that like they didn't even know what was going on. I think that after hearing how it went this year, I think that next year it'll be an active boycott. But I think that the situation with Tyla, in addition to the caste class system that's in South Africa, I think if we look at this chart as a whole, the people who Tyla is trying to, who they want her to get the stamp of approval from, is at the bottom. We're in South Africa. She would not think twice about trying to get the approval of these people. She just wouldn't. And that's what we are. We would be in this class in South Africa. I think Tyla's like Indian, German, Irish. She's a mixture of stuff. And the difference, because one thing also that people have said about Tyla, like they tried to compare her to Aaliyah. There was also some inspiration people were saying that she got from, I think, Britney Spears or something. And she was like, oh, no, I'm not. But this is like that type of stuff. And let me explain it. That dismissiveness, that lack of giving credit where credit is obviously due. Maybe Tyla didn't know that inspiration was taken from certain things, but her not even, like, once it's pointed out, not even just to appease the masses, giving the credit. The situation with Halle Bailey, where she wanted Halle Bailey or Lil Nas X to hold her MTV Music Award because it was too heavy for her. That, along with the already, I am color, so I'm better than the African group, in her asking two Black Americans to do it, it only was more damaging for an image that, if we're going to be honest, an image that already was basically showing that she didn't appreciate the culture, the accomplishments, the community that she was trying to get validation from. Now, I'm not a Tyla fan or a hater. I'm a person that she's just not on my radar. I've heard some of her music before. I liked Push to Start. I liked Water. I know she's had some other projects as well that have done really well. And I don't have any ill will towards her, but I will say that I understand the Black community, the Black American community, saying that they will no longer accept people taking advantage of them, climbing on top of them, allowing us to push them up to the top and then not get any recognition. And the thing with Tyla is that she wasn't at the top yet. She was definitely climbing. She was not at the top yet. She was in a place where she had so much potential, and she still has a lot of potential. But now Black Americans are basically saying, all right, do what you're going to do without us. So what she would have to do, for example, and this brings me back to the Beyonce thing, is that white community, that the country community did not accept Beyonce into their community, but Beyonce still had fans from her community that would listen to not even country, but they accepted her in her country era. So that's basically the difference with Tyla, is that Tyla doesn't have a fan base that's following her over, even when the community that she would like to get support from is not giving her support, if that makes any sense. So the Black community is not giving her support. She doesn't have enough of another community in the US to support her. So I'm sure her album did decent, maybe in South Africa or something of that sort. But are we going to be honest as well and say that a lot of people want the US stamp of approval. If you look at all of these artists, if you look at K-pop, if you look at artists from the U.S., not U.S., from Europe, from Latin America, they want that U.S. success. They want that U.S. stamp of approval. Not that it's everything, but it is a different level of stardom that you're able to get. The brand deals that you would get would exceed the exposure. Just like there's so many things that you would be able to do from being successful in the States. So anyway, I'm not sure if any of this made any sense. I was sitting there thinking about it because the colored situation just kept popping up when I would look and do the research from the drama with Tyla. And it made me think of, what does it mean? And as I looked at it, I'm like, oh, okay, if you're saying you're colored, you are acknowledging that there is a class of people who are below you. And another thing also, guys, in the U.S., yes, we are aware of different privileges: pretty privilege, featureism, colorism, texturism, all that stuff. As you guys can see, I got an afro. I'm black as they come, right? Black American as they come. And we are not a nation or a group of people that we are no longer. I can't say that we are not. We are no longer a group of people who looks at these features and openly praises it. The whole good hair, oh, don't be in the sun, you're gonna get black. Like that type of rhetoric, we have course corrected that for people can love themselves in who they are. And so when we look at the obvious separation of classes with South Africa, in Tyla being considered a preferred class and not acknowledging that she is in a preferred class and that there are people who are considered less than her or whatnot, for us, and then her kind of princess behavior, you had the award show drama, you had the drama with her dancing with Usher, which that was another slap in the face for Black Americans. No matter how you look at it, Usher is an icon. He's an icon. He's an icon in our community, in a lot of communities. And for Tyla to have been given the honor of dancing with him, and you don't have to be sexy and all this other stuff, but if you see the clip of Tyla dancing with Usher and she kind of like sidesteps him, for us, it is, in addition to thinking about the color situation, it's her dating down, dancing down. And I'm sure you guys might have heard that comment before, or that phrase. And it's a slap in the face because a person like Usher, who is responsible for so many celebrities being successful, who has been so successful on his own, for her to do that, it's a slap in the face. It's an honor to be able to sit there and you don't have to dance with a person at all. And you definitely don't have to dance sexually with a person. And Usher's a married man, and, he was doing his Vegas residency, and I don't know which one of her publicists, threw her out there with him or whatnot, but it looked bad. The optics looked bad. How many married celebrities or whatnot that are dancing together in music videos that have no attraction to each other? Plenty of them. And as a professional, there's a better way of doing that without attempting to make the one person look like a creep, which is what it looked like Usher was a creep. And us knowing the Usher, his tour, how he was doing it, I am the ladies love me, but the ladies also understand I am married and I have children, all this stuff. It just made Tyla look like a brat and out of touch with the culture and the people who she was trying to garner as supporters. And let's be honest, she doesn't have to dance with Usher. She doesn't have to sing. All of that stuff is valid. But also, Black Americans, as much as Tyla can behave in a certain way and do whatever she wants and whatever, Black Americans culturally can look at it as a slap in the face, as a sign of disrespect, or just a flat out, this, like the sidestepping, and this is a comparison, a metaphor. The sidestepping of Usher is kind of like the sidestepping of us in our community of, I only want you for what you can, like, oh, I heard that you can help me in if I were to dance with you, but don't dance with me too much. I just want to do it for the appeal and get a good picture and then get out of here and use you for what your connections are. And I feel like that has been something that's been so consistent throughout history with the Black community, and they're tired of it. We're tired of it. From, the way we dress, snapback hats, Air Force Ones, our pants. I mean, she's obvious, like the gold teeth, the grills, all that stuff. I don't know the origin of grills, but Tyla definitely wears a grill. She wears it's very, I mean, people like to say that Black Americans do not have culture, and then the whole world reflects things that Black Americans are doing in a lot of ways. They just are. If you don't like that, that's all on you. But you would be a bold-faced, a bald-headed liar if you sat here and said that the Black American culture is not a powerful one. I've been all over the world, and I've seen Martin Luther King Jr. like via in Italy. Like the impact of Black Americans is undeniable. So that is my 2 cents on the Tyla situation. I don't know what will come of Tyla, and I do wish her the best. I think she's beautiful. They compared her to Rihanna, and I don't think that is a good comparison, because I think a big part of that comparison as well is aesthetics, tiny, skin color, things of that sort. I think that's a big part of it with her. The big difference is in Barbados, that caste system, not pretty privileged, but like the colorism and the featureism is something that's mentioned, but it's not something that was a flat out law, which is what it was in South Africa, and what it is still something that it remains. It's a fog over the country of all of the caste system and the colorism and all that other stuff. So for them to have not, and I mean them as in her PR team, her publicist, to not have set Tyla up to speak on this topic in a way, Black people who have who see the being compared as a colored, being described, using colored as an adjective to describe us, we see that as a slur. And her using it as a way to describe herself with pride, we can look at her and tell that there is obviously people in South Africa who's darker than she is. So what's next after that? Okay, so then there's white, there's color, there's this. Like, you will have to explain to us that hierarchy. And if you don't, that's fine, but you cannot be upset when we choose to just not support you. Once again, it's not boycotting. Boycotting is literally, let me ask what boycott means here. One moment. Okay, so it says here that it's a withdrawal from commercial or social relations with a country, organization, or person as punishment or protest. Also, there is a punitive ban that forbids relations with certain groups, corporation, I don't think that we've withdrawn. Withdrawn means that we were supporting something and then coming back. I think that Tyla was so new. If we were already supporting Tyla and then we stopped supporting her, then you can say it's a boycott. I think that Tyla was still in her upcoming, and people divested. People said, oh, you know what? Skirt, before I get too far into this, let me back up. And we've seen it with a lot of different celebrities that when they become poppin', they're no longer, they use us as a stepping stool. And I've seen a lot of Black and African influencers who've talked about this. I haven't really seen it from any white influencers or commenters that have said it, but I think from the Black community, the Black American community, I think is we wish her the best, and we'll leave it as that. There's nothing we can do more to support this person. We've attempted. Yeah, we looked at it and we saw what she had to offer, because Tyla's in the phase of still showing what she has to offer, and we said no. Simple as that. Like, all right, now we looked inside the room. Nothing for us here. And we left. That's not a boycott.